1 in 5 Kiwi kids don't have access to good, healthy food. That's a major contributing factor to the country's child poverty rates, according to the latest Child Poverty Monitor report, which has been released today. Now, the measure of childhood deprivation also found that children in the most disadvantaged communities were twice as likely to end up in hospital as those living in areas of economic and social advantage. Nita Blake-Persen with this report.
It's just gone midday at the main shopping area in the Auckland suburb of Otara, and while the fruit and veggie store has a few customers, the nearby butcher's has some bulk specials. It's the local takeaway shop that's the busiest.
Yeah, around here it's all about fast food, I'd say.
Lisa says while some groceries are cheap here, fast food is cheaper still.
Bakery food. Yeah, definitely everything from the bakery is the cheapest.
Access to enough good, healthy food has been highlighted as a major issue for Kiwi kids. The 2018 Child Poverty Monitor reports found between 161 and 188,000 children are living in households with moderate to severe food insecurity. Around 10% of low-income households go without fresh fruit and vegetables a lot of the time, and 18% receive help from food banks. I bumped into Siu and her young daughter popping to the dairy in East Tamaki. She says it can be expensive covering food costs at her place.
Well, there's 7 of us at our house, and we all have to pay for our bills, and then what we have left is what we use for our groceries and stuff. Yeah.
Expensive?
Yeah, really expensive.
And with petrol costs rising, Siu says that makes things even harder.
Well, everything here is not cheap. Like, everything here is expensive, so yeah, we just have to spend wisely and to actually make it, buy our food and stuff,
17-year-old Ezra was grabbing a loaf of bread for $1.50 from the local Supret. She says while there's a lot of cheap food around in Otara, it's not necessarily healthy.
The most popular food in this area would be probably chicken and chips, yeah. Food around here is cheap, but I wouldn't say that healthy.
But Ben Villy believes it's up to people to make healthy food a priority.
What I believe it's very affordable, but it all depends on what people spend their money on, to be honest with you. Because some people, they really spend their money on alcohol and smokes and things like that. Someone like me that I don't smoke and drink, I will have enough money to look after. I can look after 7 children that I have. So for sure, there's people will, and then there's a lot of fruits and veggies around, and it's cheap enough for us to buy. As long as you spend your money wisely, rather than putting other things before, your health,
Almost 56% of children living in households where the main income source was a support benefit experienced food insecurity. Children living in state housing were twice as likely to have trouble accessing food compared with those in private rentals, and 6 times more likely than kids living in owner-occupied homes. Ben Villy is spending $400 a week on groceries for his family. He says sometimes that means making sacrifices.
It all depends what you spend your money on. The thing is that I sacrifice a lot of things just to make sure that my kids will have food on the table. And I think that's if we have to prioritize our families, then I think there's always a way. With God's help, there's always a way to fund for that.
The Children's Commissioner, Judge Andrew Beecroft, says there are around 100,000 kids doing it tough in New Zealand. Judge Beecroft says the findings from the report show New Zealand has dropped the ball on child poverty, and when compared to previous years, nothing has really changed. Mo te hōtaka o te ahi pōnei, ko Nita Blake-Persen, aho.
Checkpoint requested interviews with the Minister for Child Poverty, that is the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, the Minister for Social Development Carmel Sepuloni, and the Ministry for Social Development. All of them said that they were unavailable.